Well, hello and thank you for joining me for another Alex on Tech and IT Wire interview. I'm here today with Graeme Hackland. He is the CIO of the Williams F1 team. Welcome to the program.
Thank you very much. Hello.
Now, we're on audio today because of F1 regulations that prohibit filming unless you paid, I guess, millions of dollars to the F1 Association, which IT Wire hasn't. But Graeme, can you please tell us a little bit about your history in the world of tech and how you became the CIO of one of the world's great racing teams?
Yeah, so I came into Formula One in 1997. So
wow. That's over 20 years ago.
Yeah, quite a while ago now. And things were pretty different back then, actually. And I got lucky. I never thought someone like me gets to work in Formula One, right? And I remember saying to my wife, do it for a couple of years and then go get a proper job. And actually it is a proper job. I love it. Yeah. I love the constant change, the challenge. All we do is get two cars around a track, but actually there's so much more to it. I love the environment.
So what does a day in the life of an F1 CIO look like in between races on race day and in the off season, which I guess is three questions in one, but three different time periods for you?
So I'll answer the easy one first, right?
Yeah.
On race day, nothing.
And
no one lets the CIO near anything on race day.
Right, because that's the mechanics domain, the driver's domain.
And I got 5 operational IT people who are making sure that everything is running, is working. By race day, everything is stable. We tend to set up on a Tuesday. Mm-hmm. Sometimes on a flyaway like this, we call races so far away flyaways. We'll actually start setting up on the Monday. Mm-hmm. So come race day, everything is stable and running, and they really don't ever need me. If IT were to cause the car to stop, then I would be involved. Sure.
But as you said to us in the pits, that's never happened.
Absolutely. This is my 6th season with Williams, and so far has not happened.
So what about in the off-season or in between races?
Yeah, so in the off-season, it's all about getting the new car ready. So our focus is on making sure that the wind tunnel, computational fluid dynamics, the virtual wind tunnel, the design team, manufacturing, they all have the systems that they need. Yep. And we'll also be refreshing all of the race team equipment. We've got 2 racks of equipment that we travel around the world, and we'll have made sure that that's all refreshed and serviced, and hardware gets replaced every 2 years to make sure that we get the reliability we need. So yeah, there's a lot of work done in the winter and in the off season. And then between races, it's you're asking specifically about the CIO role. Really, my role is about managing risk a lot of the time. It's about making sure that we protect our IP, that we protect ourselves, that other people's IP isn't coming into our network, and viruses and malware and all of the threats that are out there, ransomware, that we're protected against that. So my focus for a lot of the year is around protecting the team.
So can you go into a little bit more detail? I mean, you took us on a bit of a pit tour before, and we were able to see some of the servers and all the technicians and all these walls of screens. But what's some more on the IT that's in play in 2019 for an F1 team? And I'm assuming that, as you mentioned before, most of this stuff has to travel with you around the world. You've got to take it with you and set it up.
We try and we bring the minimum we have to the Grand Prix circuit. Partly because we have to pay for transporting it, but also we're trying to leverage cloud as much as possible, right? So sure. I can't bring to the track as much compute capacity as we need. I can't afford to. Yeah. Whereas I can afford to flex up in the cloud for the 4, 5, 6 days that we need it. So the cloud has been really useful for us in terms of that. So we'll be doing computation in the cloud as the car's going around the track all weekend. And in the past we were somewhat limited, and so jobs would take longer. And sometimes between the first practice session and the second practice session, you wouldn't get all the results, and so you might not make some changes to the car that you would nowadays, when we are actually able to put the right data into the hands of the right engineer in near real time, so that they can make decisions that affect the next session. So a lot of focus has gone into that, making sure that they really can make real-time decisions.
And what sort of connection do you have to the cloud? How fast is your link?
So we partnered this season with Tata Communications, and they're providing us with a 100 meg MPLS link wherever we are in the world.
And what's an MPLS? Because people know 100 megabits, they know about megabytes, but what's MPLS?
That's a very good question. Yeah, I do remember the term, but it's a secure link, right? So no one can get into the thing.
Is it faster than 100 megabits? Is
multi-layer.
It
so we're working at 100 meg.
Yeah. Okay. Which is pretty fast. That's fast.
So within, as the car's going around the track, within 0.3 of a second of the car generating data, we will have it back in the UK for the engineers who are there to work on, which is, what I term near real time.
Blink of an eye.
This is one of the furthest tracks we come to, obviously, and so the latency is longest from here. 0.3 of a second. The engineers back at base can still talk on the intercom, can look at video data, the photography data that we have, and obviously the car data in near real time, which is brilliant.
So just out of curiosity, what parts of the tech in the F1 cars does the CIO have responsibility for and or oversight over?
I don't know whether I should be really pleased to tell you this or not, but nothing, right? So the onboard systems are done by our control systems groups and electronics and so on. And it's really only once the data comes off the car that it becomes IT's responsibility. And all of the infrastructure to support that car. If you want to download any data to the car, you need to do it with a laptop. So we support all of that. But the onboard systems, thankfully, we're not part of that.
Sure. Now, obviously the protection of all of your data is paramount. You did already mention a little bit about it, but I'm guessing you're dealing with petabytes of data, certainly gigabytes and terabytes, but there's so much data that's coming off these cars. And you're managing networks, you're learning about all of that data from race to race and year to year, you're fighting cyber espionage, some of those things you sort of mentioned, but what else can you tell us about this aspect of all the data protection you need to have in 2019?
Yeah, you're right. I mean, we do have terabytes of data, and we are approaching petabytes. And actually, a small proportion of that is the actual car telemetry. That's not by any means the biggest amount of data that we generate as a team. At the track, it's video data, so for our analytics. Back at base, I think by far and away, aerodynamics data, either from the wind tunnel or from computational fluid dynamics, CFD is by far and away our biggest data, and that's where we get into the terabyte. Because if you think about it, Formula One is just about two cars, right? Getting two cars around the track. But we still generate. You're right, huge amounts of data. So the kind of risks that we face are the loss of IP that's valuable, and trusted insiders who have access to that data. Williams also have an advanced engineering company that's commercializing what we do in Formula One, lightweight materials, electric vehicles, and so on. So that data is very valuable for a long period of time. Formula One data, 3 years, 4 years, maybe, the data is valuable. After that, no one cares. No one's looking at 2013 car data. The cars are so different now.
It's incredible, the pace of change.
The pace of change. And come 2021, the cars again will be a whole new generation, completely different.
And that keeps everything fresh and exciting and keeps your job.
It makes it great for the engineers and the aerodynamicists, and the challenges are constantly changing. So that's a good thing for us. But it means that IP, especially in our advanced engineering division, that IP is very valuable for a long period of time. We're putting it into road cars, that's a different challenge. And protecting that data is a different challenge to Formula One. So we focus a lot on how do we protect the infrastructure, so things like ransomware, as you mentioned earlier. And we have had, many years ago, we had 2 ransomware incidents before we partnered with Symantec and Acronis on our security software. We were hit by two ransomware attacks, and that's not comfortable. We're not prepared to pay the ransom, so you run the risk of losing data. And I guess denial of service type attacks is a potential problem that we worry about. The car, you can only make changes to if you plug a laptop into it. You can't make changes over the wire, so that's a good thing.
Stops wireless hacking.
So that's a good thing, and we're applying that knowledge that we have into road cars and some of the road car projects that we work on.
So one of your partners is Acronis, and the question is, how has their technology helped you do a better job, and how does it augment the security of your operations? What can you do with Acronis now that you couldn't do before they were your partners?
So there are a number of things that we started to struggle with in terms of backup window, right? We all thought that we'd solved the backup window issue, and then the data got so large that the backup window became a problem again. So there were systems that we were not able to complete the backups in good time. So I couldn't guarantee to the race engineers or aerodynamicists that we could restore their data, because obviously backup is just half the story.
That's right. Yeah.
We may not be able to get to data in a point in time for them. So we started hitting backup window issues, which was a real problem. And obviously the ransomware that I mentioned, we're really concerned that the ransomware, if we got hit again, would get to our backups and attack that data.
Yeah.
And also the third area, we weren't able to back up any of our cloud solutions before, and so working with Acronis gave us the confidence to be much more aggressive with our cloud strategy. In the past we would only work with kind of tier one vendors who we knew were doing the backups themselves and so on. Now we have much more confidence to go with whoever we want in the cloud, because Acronis are backing up all of that data. So if something happened to the vendor, we would still have the data.
So what's one of the most challenging IT experiences you've faced as Williams CIO that you're able to talk about?
Challenge. Well, I
guess ransomware is one of those.
So that the most challenging thing is when we lose data, and one of those ransomware attacks did actually result in us losing some data that we were not able to recover. That's what I hate the most. That I find that unacceptable, that we would put the team in that position. So we focused a lot on making sure that can't happen again. But there are lots of, there are challenges every day around protecting the team, our reputation, and our IP, and our customers in advanced engineering, making sure that we protect their intellectual property as well. So those are I think the biggest challenges.
Sure. And so what has been the most surprising part of the job thus far? In a good way?
Yeah, I've been in Formula One for a very long time. That doesn't mean you don't get challenged. So there are things that we're looking at for future technologies that I think is the most interesting. So when we start to look at AI and the role that could play in Formula One, so could we call a pit stop without any human intervention in the decision? At the moment, no, because I don't think the humans will let us. But the technology, we're starting to explore that technology, and it's evolving, maturing, and I think we'll get there very soon. I predicted that by 2020 we'll be able to do it. Scares me now that that's next season.
Yeah, that's right.
But 5 years ago I predicted that we would be able to do it by 2020. And I think the technology is getting mature enough that we probably would be able to do it by next season.
And there's more sensors in the car that can feed the AI engine with enough information that it can then confidently make that decision, whereas you didn't have those sensors before, or they weren't as advanced as they are now.
So I think you're picking up on exactly the right point. It's your confidence in the data, right? So if the data is inaccurate, the AI engine is going to make the wrong decision.
Garbage in, garbage out.
Where a human might think about it because they've got experience, and they might think, oh, this doesn't feel like the right decision, and they might question it. And then you may miss an opportunity and think, damn, we made the wrong decision, but some element of thought went into it. And that's why I think AI will be good, because it'll learn from history, and hopefully you'll make the right decision more frequently. So you're right, making sure that the data is not bad is going to be really important. So that's where partners like Acronis are going to be really important to us. How do we make sure that our data is not tampered with or corrupted, and then we make the wrong decision? We've seen humans make the wrong decisions based on GPS data, for example. So positioning of the cars around the track is sometimes wrong at some of the Grand Prix, and you might call your driver in thinking now's the time to pit, but actually, and we've seen a couple of instances of that where, say, the GPS data was out by 6 seconds, 10 seconds, and that's enough for you to lose a place on the grid. So making sure that the data is not tampered with or not corrupted in any way, or data is not missing, and so the AI engine doesn't make decisions on bad data. But that's just as important for the humans. So I think initially we'll augment the humans and make sure that they have better data to make their decisions, and then ultimately we'll be able to give them more interesting things to do.
Now, I always finish with 3 questions. The third last one is always about the future. So, you've talked about what you might think might happen in 2020 with AI, but what about, say, 2029? How do you think F1 will evolve over the next decade? Just looking into the crystal ball.
Yeah, the great thing about Formula One is it constantly evolves, right? It's no 2 years are the same. We are constantly making changes to the car technology itself. those cars are incredible, right? A V6 turbo with 2 energy recovery systems, setting the fastest ever times in Formula One history. That's amazing. And I think we'll just see more and more of that as the cars evolve and as society evolves. We'll see that in Formula One too.
And that car you talked about with the recovery systems, was that Williams cars or whose cars?
Yeah, so that's the grid. So the whole Formula One grid is running these V6 turbos with 2 energy recovery systems. So one takes energy from braking and one takes energy from heat from the engine and converts that into power that the driver can use.
And when you think F1 and FE will merge, the Formula electric and the, when will we see less of the petrol or the F-gas?
So we already are, right? So we are using significantly less fuel now than we ever have in the past. About a third less fuel than we used to in the V8 era. So I think we are converging. It's a hybrid car right now. Will we go full electric? You said what did you say, 2029?
Yeah, well 10 years from now.
Yeah, 10 years, that might be too soon. Because I think there's a place for both formulas right now. We're involved in the Formula E electric series. We love it at Williams, but I think there's a place for both.
So my second last question is, what's the best piece of advice that you've ever received in life to help you get where you are today?
Ooh.
From a mentor, a teacher?
Yeah, so I've had 3 or 4 mentors who've really helped me all through my career, and probably the most important advice I've received over time is about people. Surround yourself with people who have complementary skills to you and who are not people who are just going to say yes to you, who are actually going to challenge. And the management team that I've built at Williams, their job is to make sure that we don't miss anything. So it's not just to say yes to what I recommend or for the rest of us just to say yes to what they say. The way Formula One works is in a very agile way, right?
It's like an agile development team.
It is, right? They put something on the car, they test it. If it works, it stays on. If it doesn't, it comes off and they replace it with something else. And we're doing the same thing in IT. We want to make sure that we challenge ourselves. So yeah, I think one of the best pieces of advice I got was surround yourself with difficult people who are going to challenge you.
So my final question is, what's your final message to IT Wire viewers and readers, and to your current and future tech partners and F1 fans? Bit of a catch-all.
I think this is one of the most exciting times to be in IT. I started in 1990 and have seen amazing growth. I mean, in 97 in Formula One, all the data from both cars fitted on a floppy disk, right? So
incredible.
1.4 meg.
Yeah.
So data growth for everyone is just exploding. What we've got to be able to do is turn that data into actionable intelligence, knowledge, and I think that's the challenge for all of us. Every CIO I talk to, that's the same challenge that they have. I've got so much data, I've created a data lake, but now I've just got more data in a data lake. And so we're all focused on how do we get
data
the
mining.
right data, get mined into the data, turn it into actionable intelligence. And that's where the pursuit of things like AI or blockchain, all of that comes from. It all comes from being able to make the right decision as quicker than your competitors, no matter what business you're in. The good thing about Formula One is every 2 weeks we know whether we've made the right decisions or not. For some organizations, you've got to wait till the end of the quarter. But for us, our competitors are in the garages next to us, and we find out very quickly whether we've done a good job or not.
Well, Graeme, thank you so much for taking the time, and best of luck for this season.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.